Welcome to the NBA Pub Hub, Pub Sports Radio, Friday, March 10th. Ian Cameron with Skee Prophet, Billy Briz, ready to break down the Friday NBA slate. 6 games, so not as full of a card up for a Friday as we are used to here throughout the NBA season. But we've still got 6 games on tap. We'll break them all down as usual. We'll begin in Philadelphia, Blazers and 76ers. We've got the Sixers 8.5-point favorites at home, 233 being the total here in this matchup. Obviously, with both of these teams, certainly they've had their share of concerns injury-wise. You want to be aware of basically the lineups because, especially from Philadelphia, always you wonder if Embiid and others are going to play. They look fully healthy, though, for right now, the Philadelphia 76ers. Everybody's accounted for. Now nobody's showing up on the injury report. And the same thing with Portland. They're getting themselves a lot healthier. Other than Anthony Simons, he's the one outstanding player that is still hanging on that injury report. Ankle injury still bothering him, questionable. He's missed the last 4 games due to that sprained right ankle for Portland. So we'll see if they're able to get him back. But otherwise, these are 2 pretty healthy teams. Portland coming off a Beantown beatdown, if you will, 115-93 at Boston the other night. They'll be looking to pick themselves up off the mat and bounce back from that. Philadelphia, they've played pretty well here for the most part since the All-Star break. They had a couple of home losses there to Miami and Boston, but other than that, they've played well. They've won 4 of their last 5. They are returning home off a road trip, though, 5-game trip that ended in Minnesota on Tuesday night. Sometimes not a spot that I'm overly anxious to back a team, but I think I'd still favor Philly. I mean, I don't know if I trust this Blazers team or the matchup or, Yusuf Nurkic to hold up as, against Embiid. So to me, when I look at this matchup, it's not the best spot for Philly, but don't know if I really want to trust this Blazers team, which we just saw get ripped apart by Boston the other night. So we'll see how it goes, but not much for me on this game side or totals wise. What do you think here, Skee, Portland and Philadelphia?
Well, first of all, home favorites with the rest advantage in a flat spot. And when I say flat spot, it's that first game back home after the long road trip. They are 13-26-1 against the spread. That says to fade Philly tonight. And I just feel like Portland is the more desperate team. And getting Simons back is going to help them offensively. I just feel like this is too many points to give up in this scenario. So asking them to stay within double digits, I'll play the Blazers.
All right, liking the Portland side here, plus 9.5. Like I said, I am worried about the spot for Philly. Those 5-game plus road trips coming back home, that's not always easy. May not be for Philadelphia tonight. Billy, what do you think?
Yeah, the weekly assignment is to look on NBA.com and look at the referee assignments. And Scott Foster is the lead referee for this one tonight. And that's make me leans towards the Sixers here in this spot. Home teams that are 10-point favorites are 4-1 ATS this season, and between 5 and 9.5-point favorites are 10-4 ATS this season. The Sixers are 21-12-1 ATS at home this season, on average, favorited by 5.5 points in home games as favorites 17-11-1 ATS this season. Coming off a 4-1 straight up 5-game road trip. They're 2-1 straight up and 1-2 ATS in their first game after a 4+ game road trip this season. It's hard to gauge what Blazers team we're really going to see. They're 4-13 ATS last 17 road games and 4-9-1 ATS last 14 overall. The Blazers are only 2-5 ATS last 7 meetings in Philadelphia, but are 6-2-2 ATS in the last 10 meetings head-to-head. My favorite play in this game is actually Joel Embiid double-double, or you could just take the rebound prop if you don't like the juice on the double-double. He's had a double-double in 8 out of his last 10 games and 12 out of his last 17 games overall. I don't mind the point prop either. He's gone over in 2 straight games, 4 out of his last 6 games. Really good matchup tonight against Portland. They allow the most points per game to their center position. So those are the stuff that I was looking at for this one.
All right, more of a prop game here.
I want to challenge Billy a little bit, and I ask him, do you think referees hold vendettas against players?
I just bet wherever Scott Foster's reffing.
That's why I'm asking. Do you think Scott Foster holds vendettas against players?
Scott Foster just has a script that he follows, and whoever's the victim of the script is the victim of the script.
Well, I believe it after what I saw earlier. That guy, I believe it. Not with everybody across the league, obviously. There are some good refs. There are, but he ain't one of them. He's never.
If you look at home underdogs,
I don't. Yeah.
Skee, if you look at home underdogs for Scott Foster, they're 8-0 ATS this season between 0 and 5-point favorites this year when Scott Foster's reffing. Like he's rigatoni written all over. It's Friday too. Like this says Sixers -8.5. Back them here. I get it. Take the points with the Blazers. I fell victim to them in Beantown. I like the spot last time they played, but I think the Sixers cover here, and it's mainly because Scott Foster's reffing, man.
All I'm gonna say is Scott Foster is not doing any favors for James Harden. James Harden went on in the interview and says Scott Foster is a terrible referee. He's arrogant. He's rude. He was firing him up a few years ago. So I know he remembers that, and he does no favors for James Harden.
Right now, the only thing he's got in his mind is what Scotty Barnes said. Not Scotty Barnes. Yeah, Scotty Barnes said the other day, and Fred VanVleet following it up by the next day. And the NBA is calling in saying, yo, did we tell y'all motherfuckers not to talk about this in the post-game press conferences? So they got other bigger fish to fry right now, Skee.
Yeah, it's certainly there's all kinds of issues with officiating in this league night to night. Doesn't matter who it is. There's bad calls left and right. We've seen it. There's just some awful calls, but it's not a tough job. There are some good ones, some that make less mistakes, and then there's some that are arrogant. You can't say shit to them. You can't even say something innocuously, and then they're just going to tee you up or throw you out of the game like Scott Foster did against the Nuggets earlier this week with Scotty Barnes. I mean, that was absolutely ridiculous, but it's person by person. You can't just say, all the refs are in the pocket, or all the refs follow the script, all the refs are bad. It's person by person, case by case. I believe it, though, 100% what Billy's talking about with Scott Foster, though. I've seen it too many years now with him in particular that there's shit going down. He's officiating it to the way, he sees fit, as far as I'm concerned. All right, next up.
There's enough free information out there in the world to find out referee statistical data of ATS trends, and why not use it to our advantage?
Well, yeah, definitely. Keep your eye on that. There are ways you can look up ref stats over, under, home team, road team, that kind of thing, and be able to maybe make some decisions based on. You never blindly bet anything in any sport based on the officiating, but it is a piece of the puzzle to at least formulate an opinion. All right. Atlanta, Washington. Atlanta 1.5-point road favorites, 238 being the total in this game. This is a situation where we saw these two teams just meet up earlier this week, and Atlanta escaped with the 122-120 victory. Washington looking for redemption here in this game. Both teams fully healthy. I still think Atlanta's just better than Washington. I think the reason to like Washington more than anything is not so much that they're better than Atlanta. It's that they lost the last game. They'll be wanting to win this one, but I still think Atlanta, to me, I prefer their side. I think they're a team that's still the better of these two. They're trying to build their record. They're up to 500 now. I think overall you're seeing this team at least they haven't put things together fully since the coaching change, but I think there's things to like about the way the Hawks have played in these last few games. Washington's still just 1-3 in their last 4 games. So, I really liked Atlanta in that spot the other night, and they found a way. It was a close game throughout, but they found a way. I don't nearly like Atlanta as much tonight, but I still wouldn't be rushing to bet Washington here just because of the revenge angle. What do you think here, Skee, Atlanta, Washington?
This is a game I don't really love. They just played, and I don't know. This is one I'd rather not be involved with. I was enjoying what we were talking about before, so I'm back with this game. And all I'm gonna say is, I remember at one point James Harden was 1-13 in the playoffs when Scott Foster referees, and that was not too long ago. I'm interested in this game. I want to watch that Blazers and Philly game tonight, but I'm back with Atlanta and Washington.
There we go, backwood here for Skee with this one. All right, what do you think here, Billy? Atlanta, Washington.
Yeah, this is a very interesting game. The Hawks are 1-5 ATS last 6 road games, 4-0 ATS last 4 Friday games. A stat that I usually don't give a fuck about, but honestly, if there's one day a week, there's probably Friday and Monday are the ones to really pay attention to, and the Wizards are 0-4 in their last 4 Friday games. While I won't ever let a trend affect my decision, it's nice to know what teams do on Fridays, day before the weekend, setting it up and stuff like that. It's a day that actually matters. The Hawks are 1-5 ATS last 6 meetings in Washington, and 2-6 ATS last 8 meetings head-to-head, so I kind of lean towards the Wizards side as home dogs here, but the way both of these two teams have really played of recent, I kind of don't really want to back my money on either of them. I like the prop market trends in this game. Kyle Kuzma over 21.5 points, -136. His shooting percentage has increased in every game over his last 6. He's averaging 24.4 points per game in his last 5 and 19.9 field goals attempted across his last 9 games, playing 35-plus minutes in 10 out of his last 11 games. And the Hawks allow his 27th most points to the small forward position, so 23.4 points per game. And he's hit the over in both of his games versus the Hawks this season, 25 points and 28 points. And on the Hawks side, DeJounte Murray over 4.5 rebounds, -124. He's gone over 4.5 rebounds in 11 out of his last 15 road games and 12 out of his last 17 games this season. And Trae Young, double-double, -110. He's had a double-double in 8 out of his last 10 road games and 13 out of his last 18 games.
Next up, we got Denver and San Antonio. The Nuggets, 12.5, 13-point road favorites here. 236 is the total in this game. I certainly think this game will be one filled with plenty of points. I could certainly agree with the total going up here in this game. Denver, meanwhile, they did not play well. Michael Malone wasn't happy. Jokic wasn't happy. A team that was really scratching their head that they were so bad at home against Chicago. 117-96. They get blown out by 21 points on their home floor. Do they respond here? I think they do, and they've certainly got the right opponent to respond against. I mean, this has been a bad run, of course, for this pretty much draft lottery bound San Antonio Spurs team. What are they, 16-49 now coming into tonight? As far as the injuries are concerned, Jeremy Sokan is probable with a knee injury, so it does look like he's going to go. They've got Doug McDermott, Langford, game time decisions, Kem Birch out, but they have just been beyond bad in their last 2 games, and it's not like they were facing anybody good in these last 2 games. They played the Houston Rockets, and they lost to in those games by 12 at home to the Rockets, and then in Houston by 32 points. So, yeah, they've been off since March 5th. It's certainly a nice little rest spot here. In fact, that they've had 5 days off. But if Denver is, fully into this game and invested in it, and when you look at the schedule ahead, they've got Brooklyn on Sunday at home, the Denver Nuggets, and then they go on the road against Toronto and Detroit after that. So, to me, this is a spot for the Nuggets to really lay the hammer down. I lean to them laying the big number. I might sprinkle on the big number, but I don't love those 12.5, 13s. But I will get in on a rare first half here. I think Denver -7.5 in the first half is good. It looks like to me that they've got pretty much all hands on deck, unless there's a last-minute situation where there's all of a sudden Jamal Murray or a KCP or a Jokic or a Michael Porter Jr. are out. I definitely think the Nuggets come out strong here and early in this game. So definitely liking the Nuggets early here, -7.5. Skee, what do you think here? Denver, San Antonio.
Hey, just trying to do what I can do, Razor. You do with the information what you will. This game, I don't love it. All I'll say is Nuggets kind of embarrassed after the last game. Maybe, Mike Malone ripping into them. So I think they'll respond. I feel like after they have a big loss, they usually show up in the next game, and Spurs are a team that can give up a lot of points. So worst 3-point defense versus the second best, 3-point shooting team. I think Denver team total or, the over or something.
No.
I'm leaning some way like that.
No. Yeah, that team total's good. Here's the bets I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with that first half -7.5. Because if they don't cover the first half, they're probably not covering the full game either. I like that team total over 124.5. I think that makes sense. And the full game probably can get over the total as well, 236. What do you think here, Billy Briz, Denver, San Antonio?
Yeah, even though San Antonio hasn't really played too well, they're 5-18 ATS last 23 games overall. They played well up the competition, though. 5-2 ATS last 7 games, first teams above 600. And the Nuggets, I kind of do want to back the Nuggets here, but weird game. I like the player prop trends in this one. Jeremy Shohan has scored over 11.5 points in 7 out of his last 10 games and 12 out of his last 15 games overall this season. He's been on a hot streak. The Spurs are absolutely full out tank mode right now. Keldon Johnson and Devin Vessel aren't really playing 30 minutes like that anymore. And then on the Nuggets side, Michael Porter Jr. over 21.5 points and rebounds, minus 132. He's gone over that prop in 5 straight, averaging 27.5 points and rebounds. The Spurs are allowing 33.2 points and rebounds over the last week. And they allow the most points to a small forward position over the last 15 games. In the last game versus the Spurs, he had his last 2 games versus the Spurs, he had 24 points and 6 rebounds. And the other game, 15 points and 9 rebounds. And I guess, do we go back to the well with Jamal Murray? Because he absolutely fucked me the other night, tweeting it out, tonight's tonight. No, it's not, bro. You was not about to break the franchise record as he goes for 1 for fucking 7. But prior to that, though, he's gone over his 3-point prop 8 of his last 10 games, averaging 9.9 3-point attempts in his last 10 games. So, I mean, it's there for the taking.
All right, we got Cleveland, Miami. This is a rematch, too. They played a couple of nights ago in Miami on Wednesday. Cleveland getting the win, 104-100. They are back at it tonight here in South Beach. We've got Miami now 2-point home favorites, 212.5 being the total. Darius Garland, by the way, downgraded to questionable, which is a big reason, I believe, why Miami's taking the money here. Is he wasn't on the injury report initially. Now he is. And they're saying it'll be a game-time decision. But the fact he's been downgraded with the right quad contusion probably means he's more likely to sit tonight, especially because they won the last game. Has all the makings of it feeling like a Miami spot. Certainly it's gone in that direction here with Miami taking the money. Cleveland did get the win on the road in their last game. I definitely think that makes some sense. I definitely would look toward the Heat here based on that. And I've just got that sense, too, that feeling that Darius Garland probably not going to end up suiting up here tonight for the Cavaliers. As far as the player props go in this game, it's been a resurgent Victor Oladipo. Like, if you're buying stock right now in Victor Oladipo, it might be worth it. He's definitely been lighting it up lately. He was playing so well the other night that he basically took the spot of some of the other Heat players. Gabe Vincent didn't touch the floor in the final few minutes of that game, and it was the Victor Oladipo show for the Miami Heat. He's played better. His props are probably worth a look tonight, going into this game tonight against the Cavaliers. But the money going on Miami. They lost at home to Cleveland 2 nights ago. They probably don't want to lose 2 in a row here at home. They were playing a little bit better before that loss. They beat Atlanta back-to-back home games. Keep that in mind. So we'll see if they can repeat that here and bounce back after losing to Cleveland the other night. I understand the money to Miami. What do you think here, Skee, with the Cavs Heat?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the Cavaliers haven't lost a game without Darius Garland so far this season. So if you like the Cavaliers, I wouldn't just shy away from him because, he's trending towards not playing. These teams did just play recently within a week. Total went under, landed on 204, and they're adjusting this one down even further than the closing total from the last game. So in those situations, we know I like to roll with the bookmakers. They think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and I do too. 5 of the last 6 times they've played have stayed under, averaging more like 203 points per game. And just thinking, how is Miami going to score in this game? They're not a good 3-point shooting team. Both teams really good defending the paint, top 5. And just Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, holding down the paint. Where do the points come from for Miami? And Miami can also ramp up the defense. Both teams are bottom 10 in pace, post All-Star. So everything just lines up to me for under. I got 214, but I would still take it at the 212. I think they, stay under 210.
Yeah, and it's been definitely, you're right. Someone in the chat mentioning it, and it's true. The under has cashed in 3 straight meetings and 5 of the last 6 between Cleveland and Miami as well. All right, Billy, what do you think?
There's only 2 player props I like in this game. Jimmy Butler has scored over 21.5 points in 7 out of his last 10 games, 13 out of his last 18 games, and in both of his matchups versus the Cavs this season. And then also on the Heat side, Tyler Hero over 2.5 3-pointers, minus 122. He's gone over his 3-point prop in 7 out of his last 10 games, averaging 8 attempts per game from the 3-point line. Opposing guards have been able to shoot 40% from the 3-point line versus the Cavs since the All-Star break, and Hero's gone over in both of his previous matchups versus the Cavs this season. Those are the 2 things I was looking at in this one.
All right, Brooklyn, Minnesota. Next up here, it is the Timberwolves, 4.5-point home favorites, 226.5 the total in this one. I like the Brooklyn side here. They've covered 4 straight, beating Boston, Charlotte, Houston, hanging tough in their last game against the Milwaukee Bucks, 118-113 in that game. And keep in mind, in that game, they were definitely a little bit depleted as well. And still against Milwaukee, hung in there, lost by only 5. Even after getting rid of Durant and Irving, trading them out, I still thought this was a competitive roster they had with Dinwiddie, with Bridges, Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Nick Claxton. And they played hard. They're continuing to play pretty solid at the defensive end of the basketball court. They've held their last 3 of the last 4 teams to 105 or less. Holding 118 Milwaukee to 118 on their home floor is not a bad accomplishment either. They only shot 44 of 104 as well. The Bucks, despite the Nets losing that game. I like the way they're playing, and I never am in a rush to lay points with this Minnesota team, as most of you know. And you look at them as home favorites here in particular. They're 0-3 ATS. Their last 3 is home chalk. Washington, they lost outright. Charlotte, they lost outright as home favorites. They got bombed by Philadelphia in their last game. I like the Nets here, getting 4.5 in this one. What do you think here, Skee, with Brooklyn, Minnesota?
Well, it's been bet down already. I bet the under. It was 232.5 when I got it. And really, I was just looking at Minnesota. They've stayed under 5 of the last 6 games. I mean, both of these teams, the last 2 weeks, they're combined 10-3 to the under with their games combined in average 225.8. So I like that as far as an under is concerned. And for this Timberwolves team, they just lost at home. They didn't have to travel. They had 2 days off. That gives you time to work on everything you had wrong. And I just think they're going to, continue to wrap it up on the defensive end. They have 2 days off before their next game as well. And that just makes me think that they could leave it all out there on the floor tonight. So I think you get a really strong defensive effort from both teams. Both teams are also bottom 10 offensive rated teams post All-Star. And 4 of the last 5 meetings have stayed under. I also looked at the Nets. Actually, I probably shouldn't read that because the total has gone down so much. So I'm on the under at 226, I think it is now, 226.5. It's getting close. Not a whole lot of value left, but I still wouldn't get to the window with over.
No, I definitely, we think there's a better defensive. We said this since the trades were made on this show, that we think Brooklyn's a better defensive team now. And it didn't look like that at times early, but these last few games has been a good defensive basketball team during this streak that they put together. That's why they've covered 4 straight. They've been guarding, they've been defending, and it has shown up definitely in their recent results. And by the way, guarding and defending is not something you always get consistently game in and game out from Minnesota, which is another reason why I think we have a live dog here tonight with the Brooklyn Nets. Billy,
respond to Bo Jackson really quick. He says, I ain't betting no under with Bridges on the floor. Bridges has played the last 4 games, right? I mean, the under has hit the last 4 games. Just saying.
Yep, it has. 4 straight unders for the Brooklyn Nets. And by the way, with these unders too, they're not close. They're not close to the closing total. Milwaukee game got a little bit close, but the Houston, Charlotte, and Boston games, they were decisively under, with room to spare. So definitely there might still be wiggle room with Brooklyn unders right now for sure. Billy Briz, what do you think here, Brooklyn, Minnesota?
Yeah, dude, my back is fucking killing me right now, dude. I like the under in this game. The under's 21-14, 60% in the Wolves home games this season. So I'm kind of leaning towards the Nets team total under 110. And Anthony Edwards over 26.5 points, minus 160. A little bit juicy, but he's been on fire of recent, 32 points and 27 points in his last 2 games. And he's gone over his point prop in 5 out of his last 8 games. The Nets allow the most points to the shooting guard position over the last 15 games, averaging 20-plus field goal attempts over his last 14 games. And the games that he went under were 19, 18, 12, and 17 points. So I like Anthony Edwards tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez has been very good. That's yesterday. I'm looking at the wrong game. Never mind. That's the Milwaukee game. But nevertheless, Brooklyn and Minnesota. In terms of props for this game, let me just see here. I thought I had yesterday's sheet up. Hold on. Okay, here we go. As far as there was one prop in this game that did pique my interest here with Brooklyn and Minnesota. There we go. It's threes for Mikal Bridges, over 1.5 made threes, 4 straight that he has made over 1.5 3-point shots. So I think that's definitely a good prop to look at there for Brooklyn here tonight. All right, Toronto Raptors, LA Lakers, final game of this Friday NBA slate. And look at this money coming in on Toronto here. Lakers open 1-point home favorites. Raptors now 2.5-point road favorites, 224.5 the total in this game. This is going to end up going down in Raptors history as the ref road trip for them here that they are on right now. And obviously, we know what's happened the last two games. They lose to the Denver Nuggets and LA Clippers. And look, I think they were probably going to lose those games, refereeing aside. But obviously, the ejection of Barnes in the Denver game, they weren't happy with the Freddie VanVleet was not happy with the main official in the Clipper game the other night. So this is a team that feels they're not getting the 50-50 calls, whatever the case may be. Does that mean they get more calls tonight? Does the NBA find Fred VanVleet and then say, well, you know what? Maybe we're going to just turn up the heat with the calls against you even more? Or do we say maybe we'll throw them a bone and be a little bit more, give them a few more 50-50 calls than maybe they would had he not said anything publicly about the officiating? So it's an interesting dynamic how that's going to play into this game tonight. But I don't want to lay points with Toronto now on the road. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games. Their only win was a narrow escape in overtime against the Washington Wizards. So it's not like they've played great here as of late. They look like they were building some mojo here coming out of the All-Star break at first, but they've kind of gone backward again. Of course, the reason for the line move is all the injury news here for the LA Lakers, and it's a possibility. Obviously, LeBron, of course, still out, but will we see Anthony Davis on the court? Looks like he will play. D'Angelo Russell, he's been upgraded, it looks like, to probable, which is significant because he has missed the last 6 games entering tonight. So it does actually look like D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Davis both will suit up tonight for the LA Lakers here in this game. Of course, LeBron remaining out. He's missed the last 5 games. And again, he won't be back for still a little bit of time with that right foot tendon injury that he's battling. So I don't know. I mean, they're betting Toronto like Toronto's, in great form. Toronto's undervalued. I'm not sure either is the case. So Lakers are nothing for me. What do you think here, Skee? Lakers hosting the Raptors.
Yeah, I like the Lakers side. I think Billy and I will agree on this one. I don't think VanVleet is getting any whistles tonight. When you go out there barking at the refs and talking shit like he was, the other refs are looking like, oh, we got your back, bro. We're not giving them no whistles tonight. You want to talk about our boy? We're going to see. And we'll probably see him be a little bit frustrated. So he's went under 20.5 points, 7 of his last 10 games. He averages 19.3. Going up against a Lakers team who's second best defensive rated post All-Star. I think, he's not going to make it. If he's not getting those calls, he's not getting there. As simple as that for me. So I'm going to be tracking him. If it hits, I'll probably continue to bet it until it doesn't. And I like the Lakers on the side just because it's a team that's bought in. I mean, as far as they're not giving up. Anthony Davis has stepped up since LeBron has went down. Team is playing really good defense, and that's how they're winning these games. You get D'Lo back. That can only help offensively a little bit. So, I just like what Anthony Davis has been doing on the court, what he's been saying in the post-conference. He's saying it's time to get greedy. It's not time to be satisfied. So that tells me the Lakers are getting a W at the house because they keep trying to climb up the standings. They're not satisfied. And I like the under just because both teams are bottom 10 post All-Star offensively and top 10 defensively in the same span. You look at what they both have been doing the last 2 weeks, combined 11-4 to the under, averaging 219.2. So Fred VanVleet under for the full game, and Lakers.
Yeah, you mentioned Anthony Davis. I've been on this prop a couple of times. I'm on that points and rebounds and assists for Anthony Davis tonight. His points and rebounds is 41.5. He's averaged almost 47 points and rebounds during this span. And his points, rebounds, and assists is 44.5, and he's averaged close to 50 points, rebounds, and assists all in the last 5 games. And he's gone over his points and rebounds and his PRA, his points, rebounds, and assists in 5 straight games, Anthony Davis. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what I say when it comes to the AD props there. Billy, what do you think here? Raptors, Lakers.
Yeah, I like the Lakers here. Money line tonight. The Lakers are 4-1 ATS last 5 home games, 6-2 ATS last 8 games overall. Did do some referee research for this game as well. Not as strong as home ATS for referee Mark Davis, but home underdogs between 0 and 4.5 points, or 8 and 5 ATS this season. The Raptors have struggled on the road this season, 14 and 20 ATS and 12 and 12 straight up. Second half of the LA trip here, I like the Lakers to get in-season revenge. They're playing with a calls right now. I like the Lakers money line, and prop-wise, I like the AD props, and three-pointer-wise, I like Malik Beasley over 2.5 3-pointers minus 125.
Yeah, that you mentioned revenge because the Raptors beat them earlier. I remember the Lakers were sitting a bunch of guys that game too in Toronto earlier this year. So, yeah, the Raptors won, but that was like the C squad for the LA Lakers that game. I remember it. So, not going to be LeBron's out, but you've still got a better squad to play tonight.
That was the D squad. This is the C squad.
That's right. Yeah, this is still a step up from that squad that they sent out there in Toronto earlier this year. That's for sure, especially if D'Angelo Russell plays, and it looks like he's going to. All right, good stuff. That's the Friday NBA card. Like I said, it's a little bit of a shorter card. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit that like button. 151 live viewers right now on YouTube. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Last show of the week. Of course, we'll be back Monday for the NBA Pub Hub. Of course, we got live streaming with Razor Sharp later tonight. Make sure you check that out here on Pub Sports Radio. I'll be back with the Pub Hub College Basketball Show tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, with Connor and Cab, as well as Sunday. But check those guys out. They'll be on together at 5 p.m. Eastern, 25 minutes from now with the Net Profit Show if you're looking for more college basketball analysis on this Friday card. So make sure you check that out. We will be back with Best Bets coming up to wrap up the show right after we hear from Manscaped and Southtown 101. All right, Southtown 101, when you're in San Antonio, Texas, stop in. Great food, drinks, live music, DJs, karaoke. Southtown 101, manscaped.com, promo code PubSports, 20% off your purchase and free shipping. Manscaped.com, promo code PubSports. LG, good thoughts about Clint Capella. I agree. I like his over points and assists tonight for the Hawks in that game against Washington. Bounce back. He didn't play that poorly, and he's still gone over, by the way, points and assists in 5 straight games for Atlanta. So I do like that prop in particular, but props in general on Capella I like tonight there in that game against Washington there. All right, best bets here to wrap it up for this Friday edition of the NBA Pub Hub. Skee, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, a lot of my lines have already moved, so I'll just tell you, I'm going to go Cleveland and Miami under the 212.5. That's the best number you can get right now. I was still bet it at this number. I did personally get 214, but like I said, I think this one stays under 210 tonight.
All right, there we go. Under the total. It ain't broke, don't fix it. Came through the other night, and Skee likes it to be another low-scoring battle tonight in the rematch. Cleveland, Miami, under. Skee profit for his best bet. Billy Briz, best bet.
Yeah, best bet for me tonight. We're going to go down to LA, and we're going to back the Lakers here plus 2.5, minus 110. And there's a lot of props on the board tonight that I like, but my favorite one tonight is going to be Michael Porter Jr. over 21.5 points and rebounds.
All right, MPJ, Denver Nuggets over 21.5 points and rebounds for Billy Briz. Liking that for best bet. My best bet here for this Friday card, I'm going Brooklyn. Brooklyn Nets plus 4.5 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I like it. I think they've got a real shot not only to cover that number, but win that game outright. They've covered 4 straight. The defense has been good. You can see this chemistry is starting to build now with this roster that's been newly formed after jettisoning away Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So I like the idea of getting the points here with Brooklyn plus 4.5 against Minnesota for my best bet on this Friday card. All right, that'll wrap up this edition of the NBA Pub Hub. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. Tune in at the top of the hour. College basketball net profit, Cab and Connor. Mac, they'll be with you for that. So tune in for that at the top of the hour. Good stuff indeed for Billy Briz and Skee Profit. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will talk to you again next Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. The original crew, OG Monday. It'll be me, Skee, Dutch, and Wham on the Monday edition. So join us for that next Monday for another edition of the NBA Pub Hub right here on Pub Sports Radio.